So, this week on the Joyfully Prepared podcast, I'm going to get just a tiny bit doomsday ish, just a tiny bit. In fact, I learned this week, kind of funny, I think, that people who are doomsday preppers, they're called doomers. I think that's funny personally. I'm not going to stay in that world, but I am going to be a little bit in there, and I'll tell you why. Like I said, this is the Joyfully Prepared podcast, and I'm your host, Wendy Bergen. Thank you so much for listening. And I'm on YouTube now, so you can watch my beautiful face if you don't want to just listen to my beautiful voice. Okay, so I'm not going to be fully doomsday-ish. I'm not going to be a full doomer. That's not who I am. So don't worry about that. Still me. But I also feel like maybe I need to be a little bit more honest. I'm always honest, a little more realistic because I think a lot of us can feel it right now. The oil prices are going up. Why does that matter? When oil prices go up, everything goes up. Everything increases in price, and they rarely ever come down, even if the oil prices come down. Not just because we fuel our cars, with oil, with the gasoline that's made from oil, but because oil touches almost every part of modern life. It's used to make products, packaging, materials, fertilizers, plastics, and then fuel is used to transport all the things to all the places. So if oil goes up, everything goes up in price. Supplies go up, shipping goes up, everyday life gets a little bit tighter. And I'm sure you guys are feeling it. I'm feeling it. It makes me mad. It really makes me angry. And I think sometimes we tell ourselves, well, hopefully it all just calm down. Maybe it will, but preparedness isn't about panic, it's about wisdom. And that's what we're going to talk about. I've been thinking about this tension lately because I never want this podcast to become fear-based ever. I'm just not fear-based. I do I do see the reality of things. And like I said, that's why I wanted to have this podcast episode today. I don't want people walking away from my content terrified, anxious, doom scrolling, stress buying buckets of powdered potatoes at 2 o'clock in the morning while crying in their hot chocolate. I dislike doomsday advertising because they just play on our fear. I want to always put content out and just that. I just always want to put my podcast out, anything I create, so that you can feel confident in your preparedness. Because I don't have the vibe of doom. We don't do doom and gloom over here. But I also don't think sticking our heads in the sand helps us either. And that's a lot what I see happening. And I think there is a big difference. You can be joyful and still prepare. You can trust God and still buy extra groceries. You can be hopeful and still make wise decisions. Those things are not opposites. Actually, I think preparedness done correctly creates peace. And that's why I talk about it so much. Not because I think the whole world is ending tomorrow, because why be prepared if it's going to end? Not because I think everybody should live in fear. That's opposite. But because life happens, storms happen, job losses happen, medical emergencies happen, hurricanes happen. I live in Florida. Hurricane season technically starts in 2 weeks. Now, maybe nothing happens this year like it didn't happen last. We didn't have any hurricanes last year. Maybe we have another calm season. Wouldn't that be spectacular? Yes, yes, it would. I would love that. So much better. But every year, people wait until the last minute. It happens regardless of if it's a hurricane or a winter storm or anything like that. When we lived in New Jersey, obviously we would have winter storms and we called it buying, the ingredients for French toast, right? The milk, the eggs, and the bread. That's what everybody would rush to the store for to survive a winter storm was French toast, which just happens to be my most favorite breakfast food ever. But in Florida, we don't do it that way, but it's the same concept, right? You wait until, yeah, this is going to happen, and then we do something about it. Why? Why does that happen? The reason why is because life is exhausting. The end. People are overwhelmed. Moms carry a million things. Everybody's tired. Groceries are expensive. Our brains are overloaded. Amen. Can I get an amen? Amen. Sometimes preparedness feels like one more thing sitting on our chest. And I understand that. But pretending something isn't happening doesn't make it disappear. Putting your head in the sand, right? Putting our fingers in our ears going, la, 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 I can't hear you, is not a strategy. It is not a strategy. Not for health, not for finances, not for relationships, not for preparedness. And honestly, being an adult is kind of stupid sometimes. How's that for a quote? Being an adult is kind of stupid sometimes. I hate it. I don't like being an adult. You when you're a kid, you always think I'm going to be an adult. I can stay up as late as I want. I want to go to bed as early as I want. I would also like someone to handle all the things for me occasionally. That's a victim mindset, by the way. And we all are guilty of it. But part of maturing is realizing I am responsible for the choices I make, the choices, and also the consequences of the choices that I make, right? So if I choose not to store whatever enough food to survive for a week, and something happens and I need that food, it's not anybody else's responsibility to provide that food for me. I could have made the choice to spend the money and put aside food. I hope this doesn't sound harsh. It is. It's a little harsh because I try to be super joyful, but this is reality. As adults, we have to make choices and the consequence follow the choices. The word consequence we often use as a bad connotation, but a consequence is if I have food stored and something bad happens, a storm comes and I need food, I have food. The consequence is I am prepared. But if I choose not to store the food and the storm happens, I am not prepared. That's also the consequence. So there's good consequences and bad, if you want to call them that. We tend to use the word consequence in a bad light, but consequences is just how the choice played out. You can choose the choice, but you don't always get to choose the consequence. I think being prepared actually does allow you to choose the consequence in a lot of ways. This is not shame, it's power. Think about that. When you are prepared, there is power that you have, not like, "Mwah, I'm in control of all the things." Not that kind of power, but the fact that you have peace. The fact that you have peace is power. Because once you accept the responsibility, you also realize you have influence. You can do something. Even small things matter. Buying a little extra food matters. Learning a skill matters. Having water stored matters. Knowing how to cook from scratch matters. Having emergency supplies matters. Paying attention matters. Look at what's going on in the world around you. Look at your local in your neighborhood. Look at your city, your state, your country. How are things panning out? Then you look globally and you see this whatever's happening in the world is there are consequences to those decisions that are affecting you. You can be mad about it, that's your choice, but I don't recommend it. It's just what's happening. The fact is oil is expensive, fuel is expensive, things are going to go up in price, food is going to go up in price. Tiny peaceful actions add up over time. And I think sometimes people hear preparedness and immediately picture underground bunkers and tinfoil hats and someone yelling about apocalypse while eating canned beans in a basement. And those are the doomers, right? The doomers, as we learned earlier. And listen, if that's your thing, oh, it's okay. But that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about building a life that's harder to shake. What does that mean? Building a life that's harder to shake, a life with some margin, some wisdom and resilience, a life where if things get hard for a little while, you're not immediately thrown into a panic. That's what we're learning to build here at Joyfully Prepared. We're learning skills, we're learning storage, we're learning how to cook from scratch. We're learning how to care for ourselves so we can care for other people. And that's what I want for people. Preparedness is self respect. Let that sink in for a minute. Preparedness is self respect. You have enough self respect to buy some extra cans of whatever, to learn a skill, to practice it, to learn, to grow, to fail, and learn what you did wrong so that you don't make that mistake again or that you could teach somebody else. Preparedness is self respect. Preparedness is stewardship. Preparedness is saying, I care enough about myself and my family to think ahead. And honestly, I think God expects us to use wisdom. I absolutely believe God protects us 100%. He has protected me from myself so many times. I have seen his hand in my life over and over and over again. But I also think that there's a balance between faith and responsibility. Noah still built the ark. He was a prophet. He was 100% in tune with God. He went out and preached gospel truths to them, calling them to come back to God. They said no. And God said, build the ark. And Noah said, okay. Joseph of Egypt still stored the grain, right? This is in the Bible. He still did, even though he again was a prophet and close to God, but he ends up saving, just as Noah did. Noah saved humanity. Joseph saved his family and the people of Egypt and many others. Preparation has always been a part of wise living, not fear. It's wisdom. Isn't it great to know how wise you are? And I think there's actually something deeply joyful about preparedness when it's approached correctly. Joyfully prepared. Because instead of living in denial, you start living with peace. I believe that. There are some things that you cannot control. Most things in life you cannot control. I remember when we went through our first hurricane here in Florida. I think it was Hurricane Ian. We were prepared. We did have the food. We went around and boarded our home. We moved everything out of the yard so it wouldn't blow around. We did everything we always do when we go through hurricanes because we went through many in New Jersey as well. But we weren't really sure what to expect in Florida. And we have big oak trees in our yard here in Florida. One in particular was right outside my son's bedroom in the backyard. And we had a bunch of trees taken down around the property when we first moved here, but we never got this one done. And so here comes the hurricane. There was literally nothing I could do to prevent that tree from falling on our house. And I had a lot of fear about that. Like, should my son even sleep there? And if the tree fell, it would probably hit my room. I was very worried. And I went to bed that night. We had our house boarded up. The wind was blowing, the rain. And I said my prayers that night and asked God to protect our family, in particular, to bless us that this tree would not fall onto our house. Nothing would happen, that nothing bad would happen, fall on our house or hurt my son, come through the window, whatever. And I went to bed that night, and I went to bed with peace in my heart. And I swear to you, I slept the best sleep I had slept in a very long time, straight through the night. I woke up the next morning, the tree still stood. And then immediately after that, I had the tree taken down. I wanted that tree gone, but he protected me. After all I could do to protect ourselves, I couldn't do anything about that tree in the moment, right? So you do start to live in peace. You do learn that you can handle things. You learn that because you've thought ahead, things are a little bit more peaceful. You know that you've practiced your skills. You know you become more capable over time. This creates confidence, not perfection, not fearlessness. It's not about fearlessness. It's about being steady, moving forward. And maybe that's what I really want to encourage today. Don't put your head in the sand. Don't stick your fingers in your ears. Look at what's really happening. Be still for a minute. Come off your phone. come off your TV, come off whatever it is, and just be still. I encourage you writing things down, sitting together as a family. Sit together as a family and talk about hurricane season starting June 1st, or we have a winter storm, or what do you think our family needs to be more prepared? It's going to be, money's going to be a little bit more tight because of explain to your children why oil not why oil is expensive, but why everything is going to be more expensive because oil is more expensive. Explain these things to your family. They're so smart. Trust them to help you. Trust them to participate. Just mix the realism with the peace. It just goes together. So this week, I want to challenge you to do one thing, just one. It can be anything, but I'll give you a short list. Buy a couple extra groceries. If something's on sale, buy an extra one. Put it up in your cabinet. Fill a water container. If you drink soda, the 2-liter soda bottles, wash it out really well and then fill it up with tap water and label it the date and put it in a dark place. Check your flashlights. Do you know where your flashlights are? See if the batteries work in there. Learn one new skill. It can be anything. It can be growing an herb, baking bread. It can be your kids teaching them how to fill the gas cans with gas. Cook one pantry meal. Go to my show notes and I'm going to put my link in there. I created something so fun. And you just click this link and you can upload a picture of your pantry and AI will tell you what meals you can make from what's in your pantry. You can do your fridge and your freezer too. It's super fun. Add a little money to savings. I was watching a TikTok video and this woman, I think it's so cute and adorable what she's doing. She has a nice little TikTok account, so she makes a little bit of money on it, and she's been trying to pay down her debt. And so she takes her TikTok earnings and she does what she calls a micro payment on a credit card. And she explains, this is how much money I earned because of this. This is this. And I have $143 because of whatever, and now I'm going to make a micro payment on this credit card. And so she's finding little ways to make money and she's using that money to pay down her credit card debt. I love it. So smart. Start a tiny emergency kit. Go to the dollar store, get some band-aids, get an ace bandage, get some hydrocortisone. For $10, you can get what? 5 things, 6 things, maybe 15, go to $15, but you could have a nice little first aid kit as well. You do not have to be extreme to make this matter. Every small step counts. Please involve your family. I know as moms, it's more to involve our kids, but I promise you, if you take them to the dollar store and say, I need you to pick out one thing from the first aid aisle, let them do it. Let them do it. You don't have to make every decision. Tiny, peaceful actions count. And my dear friends, preparedness is not about living scared. We're not doomers. We're joyful preppers. We're joyfully prepared. It's about living supported. You're going to bring that peace into your life. You can do this. It's all about creating more peace in a world that can sometimes just feel super cuckoo crazy. Super cuckoo crazy. And that's worth doing. So until next time, keep learning, keep growing, keep preparing, keep living joyfully prepared. I love you. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your day.